Hello students, welcome to the computer science class. What we are going to discuss today? One of the important chapter in class 11, that is conditional and looping constructs. This chapter is also important in board examination point of view. Do you remember that we had discussed the part 1 of this chapter, conditional constructs, earlier? That time we had discussed about program flowchart and conditional constructs. Now what we are going to discuss today? Now we are going to discuss about looping constructs and jump statements. Okay, let us move on to part 2, looping constructs and jump statements. What do you mean by looping constructs or iterative statements? Okay, are you remembering this picture? This picture also, about this picture we had discussed in part 1. What is it? Certain cycles are repeating again and again, isn't it? This butterfly lays egg, turns into caterpillar, then pupa, then matures as a beautiful butterfly. This cycle repeats again and again. In programming languages too, certain sequence of statements are repeated in a given number of times. That is known as iterative statements or looping constructs. In Python, iterative statements or looping constructs are divided into two, that is for loop and while loop. Today's session we will be discussing about for loop, and in coming section, that is in part 3, we will be discussing about while loop. Just to go through this flowchart given here, what is it? There is a condition which is tested. If the condition is false, it will move, that is the program control will move out of the for loop or while loop. If the condition is true, a block of statements are executed. Again the test expression is evaluated. If it is true, again this block of statements are repeated until a given number of times. When the test expression is false, the program control will move out of the loop. Now we will discuss this in for loop and while loop. First we will move on to for loop. Now let us see what is a for loop. For loop is a looping constructs in Python which iterates over a range or a sequence. Okay, this sequence can be a string or a list or a tuple. Okay. Now, after that you can write the body of the for loop, and for loop also includes else part, and again you can have statements. Now first of all we will see what is a range. Okay. Now a range means it generates a sequence of numbers. For example, range is a built-in function in Python, and suppose if you are writing like this, range of 4, what will happen? This will generate numbers like 0, 1 and 2 and 3. That is 4 is excluded. Suppose that I am writing range of 1 to 4, then what will happen? This will create numbers 1, 2, 3. Okay, the range will be, or the iteration will be 1, 2, 3, etc. Okay. Now we can use the range function in for loop, and let us see what is a control variable. That is, according to the syntax of the for loop is for control variable in items in range. Okay, range means it is a function for generating a numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Okay, now what is a control variable? Control variable that takes a new value from the range or sequence. As I told you, if you are writing range of 5, then this control variable will take values 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. 5 is excluded. Okay. Or it will take values from the sequence. What is a sequence? A sequence can be a string, for example Python. A sequence can be a list, for example 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And it can be a tuple. Tuple means which is included within the parenthesis. This is the syntax of range function. Range can have a start value. it can have a stop value and a step value. If the start is not mentioned, 0 is considered as the default value. Similarly, if the step value is not mentioned, 1 is considered as the default value. That is why in range function, the start and step is given in square bracket. That means they are optional. But we have to include the stop value. Now, please go through this one. Start and step are optional, very important. Start is the starting number of the range. If the start argument is omitted, then 0 will be considered as the start value. Similarly, stop is the last number of the range. That is, the exact end position is stop minus 1. Stop is excluded while creating the range. Okay. Now, we will discuss about for loop. For example, you want to create numbers from 1 to 5. Okay. Now, how we can write the program? For I in range of 5. Range of 5 means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the stop value. This is excluded. Okay. Now, which all iterations will take place within the for loop? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. From this for loop, we understood that the start value is 0 and the step value is 1 and the iterations are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, just to go through the flow chart. Okay, what is happening when I is equal to 0? The value 0 printed. Okay, that is there is a print statement, print of I. Now, for the value of I is equal to 1, the value 1 printed. I value is 1, that is printed. Now, for the value of I is equal to 2, the value 2 printed. Then 3 printed, then 4. Now, execution is over. That is, range of 5 means 0 for the values or for the iteration for the control variable 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, the value 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. printed. Okay. Now, let us see one example for list, that is a sequence, tuple and string. Just to go through this example, for I in silver, print I. Okay. Each iteration of I, that is S, I, L, V, E, R. Okay. What will be the values printed? First, for the iteration of I is equal to S, the value S is printed. Now, I is equal to capital letter I is printed. Now, next iteration is L, then next iteration value of I is V, next value of I is E, next value of I is R. These all values are printed one by one because print I is given. This is an example for I in string value, that is sequence. Here we had taken the example as string. Now, let us see the example. What is the sequence given here? This is an example for list. For example, list is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For I in list, print I means in first value of I is 1, 1 is printed. Then next value 2 from the list, next value 3 from the list, next value 4 and next value 5. For I in list, each values are printed like this. Now, another example, it is an example for tuple. Again, same example for I in list. For each iteration of I, again you will be getting the output 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. That is initial value of I is 1, then 2, then 3, then 4 and 5. Okay. Now, we will move on to certain questions like this that can be asked for the board examination to predict the output of the following script. Okay. Just to try it. First program is for I in list. List is given to you. Print I, end is equal to a comma. Okay. What will be the output? Initial value of I is 1. Okay. Now, after printing the I value, end is equal to space. You had studied this earlier, that is in previous chapters. Now, the cursor will be pointing in the same place here itself. That is, next value of I is 2, there is a comma, then 2, then next value of I is 3, then comma, 3, comma. This will be the output of this program. Okay. I think this is clear. Now, we will move on to next program. Please predict the output of this question. For x, you can have any type of object as a control variable. In this program, x is known as the control variable, x in tuple 5, 10, 15, 20. Print x, end, there is a symbol hash. Please predict the output of this one, try it and just check the output, that is 5 hash, that is initial value of x is 5, that is 5 hash, there is a symbol hash, then 10 hash, 15 hash, 20 hash. Very simple, isn't it? Okay, now we will move on to next question, program 3. Again it is given like this, for a in 10, 20, 30, 40, the values are given in the for loop itself. Okay, this way also you can write for loop. Python program is very simple in writing. Print a, end is equal to /t. /t stands for a tab character. Then what will be the output? First 10 will be printed, then 8 spaces, then 20 will be printed, 8 spaces, 30, then followed by 40. This will be the output of this program. Okay, that is output will be 10, 20, 30 and 40. Now next program, program 4. As I told you earlier, you can use range function in for loop also, that is for j in range of 0 to 5. Starting value of j is 0, that is range of 0, 5. Okay. Starting value of j is 0, then next value of j is 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5 is excluded. Therefore, what will be the answer? You will be getting the output 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay. Now, next program is for k in range of 3, 0, print k end is equal to /t. What will be the output of this question? Little bit confusing, isn't it? Starting value is 3, end value is 0. By default, what is the step value? Increment value, that is 1. Now, what will be the output? There is no output because start value is 3, end value 0. Normally default value, that is step value is 1, 3 plus 1 is 4, then 5, 6, 7 etc. End value is not satisfied, therefore, there is no output for this program. Now, moving to program 6, string is equal to apple, for I in str, print I, end is equal to space. Very simple question, you can predict the output. Okay, now you will be getting the output as apple. No need of explanation because I in apple, first value A, then I value is P, next iteration of I is P, next iteration of I is L, next iteration of I is E. Okay. Now, can you predict the output of this one? Previous one is you are printing the value of I. Same question, str is equal to apple. For I in str, print str. Okay. Yes. What is the output? For I in str, when I value is equal to A, print str means apple printed. Okay. The string apple printed str. Okay. Then there is a colon. Then next time I value is P, for the I value P, again print str means again you will be getting the string, same string apple second time. Okay. Now for the next value of I is equal to P, again so the same thing apple printed. Then how many times this apple will be printed? That is for the value A, P, P, L, E, 5 times the same value apple will be printed. Okay, that is for x in 100, 200, 300. This is an example for a tuple. Therefore, the values are printed like this 100, 200 and 300. Now, again for x in range of 100, 200, 300. Just to compare with the previous program, there is no range. For x in 100, 200, 300 is given. Now, in this question, for x in range of, that is start value is 100, stop value is 200 and step value is 300. Print x means you will be getting the output 100 because next time 100 plus 300 is equal to 400. Now, the stop value given here is 200. Okay. Therefore, the output will be 100 only. Now, the next one is for x in range of minus 100, 200, 100. Start value is minus 100, step value is 100 and the stop value is 200. What will be the output of this question? Please try to do this. What will be the output of this question? Now, print star. There is a star symbol. Okay. That is star. Then x. X is replaced by minus 100. Then cursor will be pointing here itself because end is equal to space is given. Now, the step value is 100. Minus 100 plus 100 is equal to 0. Next value of x is 0. Okay. Now, again it is incremented by 100. 0 plus 100 is equal to 100. Next time you will be getting an x 100. Okay. This is the output of this question. Okay. Now, these type of questions can be there in board examination too. Now, we will move on to programming part, how to write a program, and also we will learn how to draw flowchart for looping constructs, that is program with the for loop. Okay. Now, let us see how we can write a program for finding the sum of first n numbers. Okay. That is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus etc. up to n. Now, for this what we have to do? What will be the logic of this program? Initially, we can assume that sum is equal to 0. With this sum, we can add this 1, that is 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. Now, what is the sum now? 1. With this sum, we can add the second number, that is 2, that is now sum will be 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. Now, what is the next value? 3 plus 1, that is 2 plus 1, that is 3. With the 3 you can add 3 plus 3 is equal to 6. Next number, that is 4. 6 plus 4 is equal to 10. This way you can continue. Now, which all statements we are repeating here? Okay. The statements, that is we have to add up the iterations, that is 1 with the sum, then the iteration of I, 2 with the sum, then 3 with the sum, etc. Therefore, the repeating step here is s is equal to s plus, suppose that the iteration we are used the value I is equal to 1, I is equal to 2, I is equal to 3, etc. That iteration of I we can add it with the sum. Therefore, we will be getting the answer sum is equal to sum plus I plus, that is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus etc. up to n. Now, let us see how we can write this program. Okay. Initially, we can ask for what is the value of n, that is int of input, enter a number. Okay. Now, you can assume that s is equal to 0. We do not know what is the sum. Therefore, assume that s is equal to 0. Now, you can use for loop for control variable, that is I am taking I here, I in range of, what is the range here? That is n. What is the starting value? 1. Therefore, range of 1 to n plus 1. Suppose I want to find the sum of first 5 numbers. 1 to n plus 1 means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Value of n is 5, n plus 1 indicates 6, 6 is excluded from the range. Okay. Now, what is the step I have to give here? S is equal to s plus I. Okay. Just to go through the program. Initially, sum is 0. Suppose for the n, the value I had given is 4. Okay. What is the first value of I? 1. Now, with the sum 1 is added, that is sum is equal to 1. Now, what is the next value of I? By default, increment value is 1. Therefore, the next value of I is 2. 1 plus 2, that is equal to 3. Next value of I is 3, that is 3 plus 3 is equal to 6. Next value of I is 4, that is 6 plus 4 is equal to 10. Okay. Suppose here the value of n given is 4. 1 to n plus 1, that is n plus 1 is 5, 5 is not included in the range. Therefore, the final answer is 6 plus 4 is equal to 10. Now, we can use the statement print sum is equal to, you can print the answer sum. Very simple program. Now, let us see how we can draw the flow chart. In part 1, we had learned about the flow chart 2. Okay, how we can draw flow chart for looping constructs, that is for the for loop. Okay, very simple. First, we can start by using the symbol, start symbol. Then you can ask for what is the value of n, that is read or input n. Then you can have initialization step. You can make sum is equal to 0. Then you can check whether the value of I reached. Okay, you can have a control variable, that is I is equal to 1. Then you can check whether the value of I less than or equal to n. If the value of I is less than or equal to n, then what is the statement or step you have to do? Just to go through this one, S is equal to S plus I, that is for finding the sum. Okay. Therefore, here you can write S is equal to S plus I. After that, you can increment the value of I, that is I is equal to I plus 1. I value incremented. Then again you can check that whether the value of I is less than or equal to n. Okay, if it is less than or equal to n, you can increment the value S is equal to S plus I, you can increment the counter variable, then again check I less than or equal to n. Suppose you want to find the sum of first 3 numbers 1 plus 2 plus 3, then initial value of I is 1, I less than or equal to n, that is I is less than 3, so I value is added with S, I value incremented, that is I is 2, 2 less than 3 satisfied, again this statement repeated, again the value of I is 3, 3 less than or equal to 3 satisfied, these 2 steps are repeated. Next value of I, that is I is equal to I plus 1, that is 4. Now 4 less than or equal to 3, this condition is false, that is this statement is false. That time what you can do is you can print the value of sum, print sum. You can print the sum. Okay, then you can stop it. You can stop the program. That is all about the flow chart. Now, the next one is write a program to find the factorial of a number. What is a factorial? For example, suppose 5 factorial. 5 factorial stands for 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. Or we can write 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5. This is 5 factorial. We know that how to find sum of first n numbers. Now, S is equal to S plus I. Now, what changes we have to make in this program for finding factorial? Now, we can make S is equal to 1 or F is equal to 1. Then, instead of this plus symbol, you can use multiplication symbol. That is, here you have to multiply it 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1 or 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5. How we can write the for loop here? For I in range of same way 1 comma n plus 1. Okay. Initially you can make factorial is equal to 1. Assume that factorial is 1. Okay. Now you can write f is equal to f into I. Okay, f is equal to f into I. Initial value of I is 1, then 2, 3, 4, etc. Okay. Now, in this case, when you compare this flowchart and program, in flowchart you have to specify I is equal to I plus 1. But in for loop, the increment or the step value by default is 1. Therefore, no need to specify it as a statement I is equal to I plus 1. That is already included in the for loop. Similarly, in the flow chart, we had written that S is equal to 0. Initially, sum is equal to 0 or F is equal to factorial is equal to 1. But in for loop, the starting value is 1, therefore, no need to mention that I is equal to 1. It is already included with the for loop. That is the advantage of using for loop. That is, start value and step value is included in the for loop itself. Therefore, only the repeating statement you have to include in the for loop. Okay. This is the program for finding factorial of a number. Initially, fact is equal to 1. It is asking for input enter a number. Now, for I in range of 1 to n plus 1. Start value is 1 up to n plus 1. Okay. Now, fact is equal to fact into I. This is a shorthand operator. Fact is equal to fact. The meaning of this one is fact is equal to fact into I value. This is a shorthand notation. Now, print factorial of number is equal to so and so. Okay. Now, write a program to find the sum of any n numbers. Okay. Previous question was write a program to find the first n numbers. First n numbers means there is a sequential order 1, 2, 3, 4 etc. up to 20, 1, 2, 3, 4 etc. up to 100. Now, in this question, what is it? Write a program to find the sum of any n numbers. For example, in midterm examination, you got mark in computer science 40, then physics 50, then chemistry 70, English 40, like that. You have to add all these values, sum of any n numbers. That is the logic of this program. Okay. How we can write this program? First, you can ask for how many numbers you want to sum it up. Okay. Now, inside the for loop, you can ask for the number. Inside the for loop, you can ask for the number one by one, and each number you can add it up with the sum. Okay. Just to go through the program, very simple program. First, it is asking for enter the limit. Okay. For example, 5, 6, something like that. Now, initially sum is made as 0. We do not know what is the sum. Then it is asking for enter n numbers. For example, the value of n given is 5. Then it is asking for enter 5 numbers. Now, for x in range of n, what is the value of n? Suppose the value of n is given as n is equal to 4. Then for the value of x, that is 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, 4 times the for loop will be executed. Okay, for x in range of n, 4 times the for loop will be executed. Here we are not taking the x value, control variable value we are not taking. Instead of that, we are asking for enter a number. Num is equal to int of input, enter a number. That num is added with the sum. Then, which all statements are repeated inside the for loop? Asking for the number and adding the number with the sum. These two statements are repeated again and again inside the for loop. Finally, the sum of the numbers printed. Okay. Now, next program is enter n numbers and find the sum of positive and negative numbers separately. For example, consider the numbers that I have entered is 10, then minus 20, minus 30, minus 15, then 4. Okay. Now, positive sum, suppose that I am using the variable PS for positive sum, that is 10 plus 4 is equal to 14. Now, negative sum NS, that is minus 20 plus minus 30 minus 50 plus minus 15, that is minus 45. Separately, you have to add positive number sum and you have to find the sum of negative numbers. Here inside this for loop, what you have to use? We had studied about if statement in previous session, that you have to use it in this program. Now, let us go through the program. Again, it is asking for enter the limit. Now, positive sum and negative sum is made as 0. Now, for I in range of 1 to n plus 1. Okay, or you can write for I in range of n. Any method you can write the program. Now, it is asking for the number. Once you entered the number, suppose that I entered minus 10, immediately it is checking whether the number is greater than 0. What is it? It is checking that whether the number is positive. If the number is positive, then it is added with the positive sum. Otherwise, the number is added with the negative sum. Now, what is happening inside the for loop? Which all statements are repeated? Entering the value of the number and checking whether the number is greater than 0 or the number is less than 0. Accordingly, the number is added with the positive sum or negative sum. These statements are repeated again and again in the for loop. Finally, once it is out of the for loop, that is for I in range of 1 to n plus 1, that is when the value reached n plus 1, program control will come out of the for loop and finally it will print the value, print sum of positive number is equal to so and so, sum of negative number is equal to so and so. Okay, this is the program for finding sum of positive and negative numbers separately. Now, this is also a very simple question. Sum of series 1 cube plus 2 cube plus 3 cube plus 4 cube etc. Okay, very simple for finding this one. Here the iterations are 1, 2, 3, 4 etc. Therefore, what you can do is I into I you can take, or power of, you know that what is a power function, I comma 3. Okay, what are the iterations of I? 1, 2, 3 etc. Therefore, power of I comma 3 or I into I inside the for loop. Just to go through the program, very simple. For I in range of 1 to n plus 1, everywhere we are using the range function. Then sum is equal to sum plus I into I, or you can, instead of this you can write sum is equal to sum plus power of I comma 3. This way also you can find the sum. Okay. Now, write a program to print first n numbers in a Fibonacci series. Very important question. What is a Fibonacci series? Just to go through this series. 0, next number is 1, next number is 1, then 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21 etc. What is it? Just to consider this 21, number 21. 21 is sum of 8 and 13. When you consider 55, 55 is sum of 21 and 34. Therefore, what is a Fibonacci number? That is Fn is equal to Fn minus 1 plus Fn minus 2. Okay. For example, this you can consider as Fn. This is Fn minus 1 and this is Fn minus 2. Sum of these number is equal to Fn. That is known as a Fibonacci number. Now, let us see how we can generate Fibonacci series by using a Python program. That is by using for loop in Python. Okay. Now, what is the logic? Okay. Now, just consider these are the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 8 plus 5, 13, 13 plus 8, 21 etc. This is known as Fibonacci series. Okay. Now, assume that this number is F1 and this number is F2. First number of Fibonacci series and second number of Fibonacci series. Now, just consider this as F. Now, what is F? F is sum of F1 and F2. Okay. That is, this F is sum of F1 plus F2. That is 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. Now, next time this will become F and this one will become F2 and this will become F1. For example, 2 is the sum of F1 and F2, that is 1 plus 1. Now, next time this 3 will become F, this number will become F2 and this number will become F1. That is F1 plus F2, 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. This will continue like this. Next time 5 will become F, this will become F2 and this will become F1. Now, next time F, this one will become F2 and this will become F. Just to see, 8 is the sum of F1 plus F2, that is F1 plus F2, that is 3 plus 5 is equal to 8. This way you can generate Fibonacci numbers. Okay. For the programming part, what you can do is, initially you can print these two numbers 0 and 1. Now, how you can write the for loop? You can write the for loop for I in range of, okay, already we generated two numbers f1 and f2. We assumed that f1 is equal to 0, f2 is equal to 1. Then you can print f1 and f2, then two numbers already over. Therefore, you can start the range by selecting, that is 2 comma n plus 1, then remaining numbers. Now, which step we have to repeat it inside the for loop? As I told you, you have to find the sum, that is f is equal to f1 plus f2. This step you have to repeat. After finding sum of f1 and f2, you can print the value immediately because we want to generate the series. Okay, that is initially you can print 0 and 1. Now, two numbers we got 0 and 1. Now, 0 plus 1 is calculated. Now, you can print the sum. Now, 0 plus 1 is 1. Now, what you have to do? What is the next important step? You have to interchange the value. Okay, that is value of f2 should pass to f1, value of f should pass to f2. Okay, therefore, what you can write is f1 is equal to f2, then f2 is equal to f. The value of f is copied to f2, then value of f2 is copied to f1. That is, these four steps you can repeat again and again until the number of Fibonacci numbers printed. Okay, like this you can continue, that is 1 plus 1 is 2, then 1 plus 2 3 printed, 2 plus 3 5 printed, etc. This series will go like this. Now, let us see how we can write program for generating Fibonacci numbers. Okay, initially assume that f1 is equal to 0, f2 is equal to 1, because in the Fibonacci series first two numbers are 0 and 1. Okay, now you can ask for how many numbers you want to generate, that is enter the limit. Then you can go for I in range of 2 to n. Why it is 2? Because already two numbers, first two numbers of Fibonacci series printed f1 comma f2. Therefore, we are starting the range from 2 to n. Okay. Now, inside this f is equal to f1 plus f2, that is 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. Okay. Now, you can print that Fibonacci number, that is 0 plus 1 is equal to 1, the next Fibonacci number. Now, next time what you can do is, as I told you earlier, this number will become f2 and this number will become f1, that is f1 plus f2 is equal to f, that is 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. That is why you can change the numbers f1 comma f2 is equal to f2 comma f, that is f1 is equal to f2, f2 is equal to f. In this way you can generate the Fibonacci numbers. Okay. Now, we reached at the end of this session. What all we discussed today? We discussed about for loop, then program flow chart, then output prediction questions, etc. Hope you enjoyed this session today. Thank you.